Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Liv's Thoughts. Today we have BPD. I'm going to give you an all around beautiful guide to understanding the lovely little mental illness that I have called borderline personality disorder. I'm making this simply because I feel like a lot of people don't understand borderline. And also, if you look up how does borderline work, why is the person that I'm dating that has borderline going through this? Like, everything you look up with borderline is the most boring ass, doctor ass, non actual real life experience ass video. Like, everything is boring and there's no, like, I don't know, personal experience involved with it. So I made my own PowerPoint for you. We're going to go over it and we're going to talk about borderline personality disorder. I hope that I'm able to remove the background on me so you guys can see the PowerPoint behind me. Fingers crossed. Welcome to your all knowing guide of BPD by Liv Knitter. Olivia, that's me. What is BPD? BPD is borderline personality disorder, or you might have heard it called borderline or the crazy diagnosis. Next. So borderline personality disorder, just like sourced from Google here, it's a mental disorder characterized by unstable moods, behaviors, and relationships. The cause of borderline personality disorder isn't understood well. The diagnosis is made based on symptoms. Symptoms include emotional instability, feeling worthlessness, insecurity, impulsivity, and impaired social relationships. Now, with the diagnosis from Google, they don't mention like the DSM-5. Okay, so basically, the DSM-5 is a big book full of all the illnesses and symptoms, mental illnesses, their treatments, everything is in the DSM-5. But for the DSM-5, there are 9 criteria of people with borderline, and you have to fit 5 in order to be considered borderline. I'm going to read them off. Please do not take this as an opportunity to self-diagnose yourself. Go to a doctor. Frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. Number 2, a pattern of unstable, intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between extremes of idolization and devaluation, splitting. 3, identity disturbance, markedly and persistently unsustainable self-image or sense of self. Impulsivity in at least 2 of the areas that are potentially damaging. Abuse, reckless driving, binge eating, substance abuse, spending, sex. 5, reoccurrent suicidal behavior, gestures or threats, self-mutilating behavior. 6, affective instability due to marked reactivity of mood, intense episodic dysphoria, irritability, anxiety, usually lasting a few hours, rarely more than a few days. Chronic feeling of emptiness. Inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. Frequent displays of temper, constant anger, and reoccurring physical fights. And transient, stress-related paranoia, ideation, and severe dissociative symptoms. So again, with the criteria for BPD, you need 5 of the 9 things to be actually considered borderline. And surprise, I was 5 of these things, which is kind of scary to think about. I don't think I'm so much 5 of them anymore. I've done like a lot of work to get out of a lot of my bad behaviors and patterns, but there are still some things in there that I do struggle with. With borderline, there's also subtypes of borderline. So there's so many layers of borderline, it's crazy. But there's 4 types: discouraged, impulsive, petulant, and self-destructive. I am surprise impulsive. If you look at my tattoo video, you can just get a glimpse into the impulsivity that I love to have. I tend to turn to impulsivity when I feel very, like, I don't want to say lost, but I turn to impulsivity in very rash, quick decisions when I'm feeling like sad. I get very impulsive when I'm very sad. I mean, we've all known I've shaved my head at one point. Like, yeah, I've done a lot of stuff to myself that is just like in the moment when, because I wasn't feeling good, I did this. Go! Let's talk about some just famous people with BPD really fast. So, people that you might know, people that you may not know. Pete Davidson, I feel like, is a pretty prominent figure about someone that's spoken out about BPD a lot and that a lot of people know. There's Amy Winehouse. There's Ernest Hemingway, Brandon Marshall. There's Britney Spears, Russell Brand, which a lot of us understand that one. Of course, Trisha Paytas. We have Anna Nicole Smith. We have Vincent Van Gogh. So there's like a lot of people. There's a lot of famous people with BPD. So it's not just like immune to the commoner folk. There's a lot of people that have it. And of course, your favorite, me. How does one develop BPD? Well, this is the tricky part because there's no one root cause of why BPD starts with someone. BPD is one of those things where there's not one specific like situation that it stems from, but it does kind of like cultivate over time. So it's a lot of like different symptoms happening over time. People tend to develop BPD from unstable home life, meaning abandonment. There was either some emotional, sexual abuse of some kind or neglect. Traumatic, just life events in general can cause some symptoms of BPD, which is scary. And just a lot of like abandonment and instability is the root cause of BPD. So BPD is a trauma response to shitty things happening. It's a way to just cope with shitty things happening. But our trauma response is actually changing our brain chemistry. You're also more likely to get diagnosed with BPD if someone in your family has it. So just because you have it, don't think that your kids are going to have it, like whatever. But if your parents have it and you have it, there's a correlation there. It's always something that's like obviously like cancer, like you're going to pass on a gene, that sort of thing. So it is scary, like thinking that you might pass this on to your kid, but nurture over nature. Before we get into like the not so good stuff about BPD, let's talk about the things that people with BPD are good at and kind of the things that I made a video about, and there was a lot of people that got mad at me for it, but BPD is not all bad. There are some good things with BPD. Being creative is my top one, and I will stand on this to the day I die. I think people that are not feeling well inside are some of the most creative people out there. That's a way to express pain without fully having to feel it, in my opinion, with creativity and art. So people with BPD are often very creative. It doesn't matter what endeavor of creativity it is, but our minds are just different. They're wired differently and they think differently. So I don't know. We're creative people. We also have a lot of empathy for people, and BPD are like empaths to a high degree because we're so used to noticing little changes in people, and we're very good at reading facial, like the little minor facial switches, tone changes. Like there's a lot of stuff that people with BPD are good at because of the way that they grew up and like the way that they had to protect themselves. So like empathy, people are really good at feeling other people's emotions, reading a room and absorbing the energy. Again, this is more on like a spiritual level. In this part, sorry, I'm just editing. I mean, like, we can match energy very well. So if someone's giving you attitude, you kind of give them attitude back. If someone's acting happy, you're going to kind of act happy too. And if someone's like being kind of miserable, bad mood, you're also going to be in a miserable, bad mood. Like we very easily rub off on other people's emotions and try to copy other people. So that causes us to like be able to read a room well and be able to like kind of feel what other people are going through and understand like a deeper level, if that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, just disregard, skip this part. Loyalty. People with BPD are extremely loyal. This idea of infidelity with people with BPD and cheating and being these awful, terrible people that can just switch up and forget about you all of a sudden, not really true. There obviously is BPD splitting, but people with BPD are very loyal people, like honestly loyal. And if they say that they are with you, they are like with you for real. And again, splitting is obviously something that comes along with that. But for the most part, when people with BPD tell you that they are like for you and they're loyal to you, they're not lying. Like with favorite person and with this idea that like of idolization, when you get a BPD person to like you, that like they like you, they're gonna stick by you. I promise you. If you take care of them, they will take care of you. Like they will be loyal to you. We're resourceful. We've been through so much shit, man. We have a lot of knowledge up in our brain. Like most of the time, and this sounds weird, but like I feel like doctors a lot of the time don't understand what I'm saying. So I've had to go out and do like a lot of my own research on a lot of stuff, not just BPD, but like a lot of my health issues in general. I've been the one doing most of the research. So I feel like I've gained a lot of information just from my own curiosity almost. And also, people with BPD have hyperfixations. And when we have hyperfixations, we can really learn about one topic and really be knowledgeable about certain topics. And we're intuitive. This goes along with like reading the room, knowing what's going on, but we just have like a really strong gut sense. We're very intuitive people. And that's where this craziness comes from, is because we know when something's wrong. And so we act this way, and then it comes off as crazy. Next, disassociation and derealization, depersonalization, lack of sense of self. Disassociation is scary as all hell. I have experienced a few episodes of my life where I am for real disassociating. I've experienced disassociation on the daily basis in terms of like, I just don't feel real, but I've also experienced disassociative episodes where I'm actually convinced that I'm not real. Because there's this idea like when you're going through a disassociative period where you don't really feel real throughout the day, you know that you still exist. There's the third wall of this being physical reality is still there. When you go through a disassociative episode and like seriously disassociate, you don't have any awareness that we're actually here on earth. Like any awareness at all. Let me just read this part first. Most people, 80% of people with BPD, have experienced at least one episode of disassociation or derealization. It can be really scary. You don't really understand what's going on and what's real and what's not. The best thing you can do for someone in this situation is just to remind them that everything's going to be okay and not to freak out. That's the biggest thing. Don't tell them that like you're freaked out and like they're scaring you or anything like that, because that just makes the person that's going through the dissociative episode spiral even more. I remember it was about 2 years ago, like 2 summers ago. I was in Buffalo Exchange. No, I was in Crossroads. I dropped my clothes off at the front counter because I was like, there was a line. I was gonna go shop for a little bit before they call my name. And all of a sudden, I like went into this other reality of life, and it was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced. I remember needing to touch everything around me to like feel like I was real. I remember I had to go sit in my car because I was sweating. My pupils were dilated. I'll throw up a picture somewhere because I have a picture of it, but I was like freaking out. I couldn't like I wasn't about to go home because I couldn't drive. I didn't know where I was. I felt confused on like where I was. Everything in my reality of what seemed to be true was not real. Like nothing was real. And it's a scary, like being disassociated and not feeling real is already a scary feeling. But when you add like a panic attack on top of that and like anger on top of that, it's really scary, dude. So just if you're with someone that has BPD and they're going through a derealization episode or like dissociative episode, just remind them like it's okay. Like most people with BPD also suffer from lack of self. So with the lack of self comes this depersonalization and this instability in knowing who you are. And that's why a lot of people with BPD have blue hair, or like that's why a lot of people with BPD look crazy, is because they can't recognize who they are. They don't really understand who's looking back in the mirror. And I've had so many times where I will look in the mirror and I just don't know who I'm looking at. And it's not on some like, I don't know who I am. It's on some like, I genuinely can't even recognize your face right now. And it's freaking me out. Like, it's really scary. And so sometimes we pierce ourselves, we get tattoos, we color our hair, we cut our hair often. A lot of people with BPD have shorter hair because we cut and color our hair so often. As you can tell, this is my most impulsive decision I made in the past long while. I will say it wasn't like super impulsive because I've been thinking about it for a while, but my mom would tell you it's impulsive. So it's just like this lack of sense of self and not really knowing who you are. And so you change things about your actual being to figure out how you fit in. But at the end of the day, we're all humans and like we don't really fit in anyways. So it's kind of it's a little bit of a dichotomy if you think about it. BPD relationships. Okay, I did not agree with the first take I had filming this, so we're gonna redo this part. Relationships can be very harmonious, very beautiful, very like wonderful, caring relationships, but you have to understand if you are getting into a relationship with someone with BPD, and this is not meant to scare you, this is not meant to like tell you never to date anyone with BPD, but that is something that you need to understand is an added layer on top of the relationship. Like, you are willingly putting yourself into a situation where this person could flip out on you for a minute reason, and it's something you're gonna have to work through. Obviously, this is not an excuse for someone with BPD to absolutely abuse you and like take advantage of the fact that you're being a good person to them and like dating them or whatever, but like a lot of people get into relationships with people with BPD that are not ready for the patience, the learning, and the like kind of discussions that you're gonna need to have with your partner. And I hate to like bring up my ex in this, but like I am very appreciative of my ex-boyfriend because I feel like he handled a lot of shit with my BPD really, really well. He was willing to learn and educate himself. At the end of the day, it wasn't my BPD that broke us up, but there was aspects of myself that I know I need to work on now. Like, I understand I can get a little crazy sometimes, even when I don't think I'm being crazy. It's a kind of blackout view, and I would say I'm very mildly BPD. Like, I think my BPD is very tame compared to what it used to be, but there are pretty severe cases of BPD. So again, this is not meant to scare you off from dating someone with BPD, but you have to understand the repercussions and the actual act of dating someone that comes along with just the BPD aspect of it. Then, people with BPD, this is your friendly reminder. Not everyone is meant for you. I promise you, there are people out there meant for you, but not everyone is meant for you. And you, as having BPD, it's kind of like a caution sign on us. I very much tell people I have it before getting romantically involved with them, because some people are not willing to take on that, and I'm not trying to damage someone else to a full degree and have them hate everyone that they come in contact with that has BPD. And I'm also not trying to have them not be able to handle my BPD and damage me even more and give me this sense of distrust when it comes to relationships. So if that makes sense, I'm just saying, like, not everyone is going to be meant for you, and you're not meant for everyone, and that's okay. Our dating pool is smaller because we have BPD, and that's okay. But I'm saying this as like a warning, and like as I want to like, please think about it, and please like just saving people from fucking up each other's lives. All I'm trying to do, because I think BPD can be very damaging, and BPD relationships can end in someone ending up dead. Like, I hate to be bleak about that, but it's the truth. We can be a little crazy sometimes when it comes to relationships, but with good communication, patience, learning, being communicative, like seriously communicating the way you feel, the things that piss you off, the things that make you happy, like be communicative. There's no reason to not be communicative. Like, if you need to be overly like explaining yourself, do it. Like, if that's gonna piss someone off that you're over explaining yourself, not the person for you. But sometimes like they don't know how your brain works. You have to explain it to them the way that your brain works, if that makes sense. So don't be discouraged just because you have BPD that you're never gonna find love, because that's simply just not true. We have a lot of love in us, but you have to understand the average stereotypical relationship is probably not gonna work for us. So it's okay, but that's okay. Again, having BPD is not end all be all. It is not going to like stop you from finding the love of your life by any means. You just have to be more cautious, because you are bringing people into your life that you have the ability to like really screw up if you yourself are not mentally okay up here. So it's just a warning, like, please be careful when getting into relationships with people, because it can be very damaging for both sides. But there is good stuff with BPD relationships. People with BPD are very caring and loving. And again, empathy is huge. Like, we love a lot, we care a lot about the person that we're with. So, yeah, I hope that helped. Splitting. My favorite part about BPD, splitting. Splitting is when you go from idolization to devaluation, meaning I see you as the most beautiful, perfect, awesome I've ever seen in my life, to I literally want to gag when you breathe. That's what splitting is. It's a good way to put it. It's a lot. It's a weird feeling to get towards people, especially people that you once really liked. I can say that I've done this to a lot of friends. I've done this to a lot of roommates. I've done this to some family members. It's not a good time. I'll just say that right there, because you know you're affecting another person, and you also know that like you're hurting another person's feelings, but there's something in you that's just like, I don't like that person. Like there's something about splitting where it's just like you go from being top tier on a pedestal to all the way down in the gates of hell. I could literally stomp on you. There is no in between. It's very black or white thinking, and I think that thinking that is like there's no room for error is a good way to think about it. Just like black and white, no room for error. It's this or that. You can't be both. You can't be anywhere in the middle, this or that. People also get like this, but ideas, people get with this with hobbies, people get with this with jobs. Like there's a whole realm of things that you can just decide to split on. And I've done this with countless number of hobbies. Like I will say I love something, and then 2 months into it, absolutely despise doing it just because I like split on the hobby. Like it's so strange, and I wish I could explain like when it happens, but it's almost like when you get a glimpse into a person not being the person that you thought they were, or a person making a mistake like normal people do, and it takes them off the pedestal. And when you see them as like an equal to you, that just doesn't add up in your brain, and so you shove them down even farther. People with BPD often tend to idealize others, and when they don't act the way that their brain told them that they were going to act, they go into the black and white thinking, seeing that person as only bad and recognizing that that person also makes mistakes. So again, like it's just going from one side to the other side, black to white, right to left. Like, yeah. Severe sides of BPD, just to quickly gloss. I've already talked quite a bit about some of the downsides of BPD, but I just want to get into like, not to feel like the severe sides of it, but I just really want people to understand like the actual weight that BPD carries on the day to day. Extreme anger, extreme fear of abandonment, dangerous impulsivity, lack of sense of self, leading to self destructive behaviors, self harm, or even suicide. And I just want to take a minute to like talk to anyone in this chat right now that actually has BPD. BPD sucks. It does. I'm not even going to sit here and say that it's fun. It's not fun. I, throughout my healing journey of since I got diagnosed, I've always tried to see the positive outlook of this shitty disorder. Like it sucks. There's a lot of negative aspects of it. I've lost a lot of people in my life. I have been told I've been crazy a lot of times in my life. And I know it's not something that's just going to stop. Like I know this is something I'm going to have to deal with until I die. But you have to understand, dude, like being having BPD, and I know this is a weird, I don't want to say individual narcissistic way to think about it, but like you're one of a kind, dude. Like you really are one of a kind. And if you can learn how to hone in on your craft and really work on managing your triggers and managing the things that set you off to being a bad person, if you can learn how to contain that and learn how to just be better for the people around you and for yourself, life is beautiful, dude. Like I hate having BPD, and I hate having to take meds every day, and I hate ruining my relationships and really seeing fast fallouts with people sometimes. But I realized that I'm like, I can either choose to dwell on the fact that I have BPD and be sad and miserable, or I can do the work, get this shit under control, and understand that not everyone's going to be meant for me. And the faster you can find peace with the idea of not everyone's going to be meant for you and not everyone is going to like the fact that you have BPD, the more peace you get sooner. Like the sooner you come to terms with, I'm a human that fucks up, and I'm a human that's only meant for a few type of people in this world. And we're individual people. Like, I don't want to say like isolate yourself, but really take time to figure out who you are, because I think that that's such a healing step to figuring out your BPD, is knowing who you truly are. And I think there's some aspects in my life where I'm like, I don't really know who I am for real, but at the end of the day, I can say I can stand on my morals, and I can stand on the person that I want to become, and the person that I feel like I am today. I think I have a clear sense of self in terms of getting a handle on my BPD. So just the sooner you can come to terms with the fact that this shit sucks, dude, but learn to live with it, the more at peace you're going to become, and the happier you're going to become quicker. Like, seriously, don't think that having BPD is the end of the world, because it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. If you're someone that has access to a therapist, meds, and a psychiatrist, be grateful. There's a lot of people out here that don't have that. So, like, take advantage of your resources and take advantage of the help that is being offered to you, and get out of your own head and your own ego the fact that, like, you can't be helped. Because I was there. Like, I was fully in my brain thinking I was never going to get help. I was never going to be good enough to even, like, walk this planet for real and not be judged. But here I am. I got a lot of people that like me. I got a lot of people that don't like me, though, and that's okay. Growing a support system and finding your inner peace to dealing with this shit, dude. Like, seriously, you got to take accountability for this. And it sucks because it's like you didn't give it to yourself, yada, yada. You didn't, but you're stuck with it now, and we have to deal with it. So let's put our boots on and get working, because it doesn't do anyone good to be angry and miserable and sad all the time. And I know that you can't control when you're feeling those things. And I feel like I know the feeling of feeling powerless in the situation of you can't help it but to feel that way. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Just want to say that. I'm living proof, as someone that used to want to hurt people all the time, to I would love to give everyone a hug. I love being alive. I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be myself. And I'm happy to have BPD. I shouldn't say that. I'm not happy to have BPD. But I'm grateful for what it's given me. I don't think I would be as smart as I am today if I didn't have BPD. So, like, there's always an upside with a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I hope this was an okay presentation of BPD. But have a wonderful day. I will talk to you guys later. And remember, peace, love, and happiness as always. And I will talk to you guys on a later day. Have a good day. Bye.